Welcome back to WagerTalk.com. Major League Baseball's right around the corner, and in the coming weeks, we're going to be talking more about baseball here at Wager Talk with the videos, and we're going to be doing a lot of season win totals from all the guys, and I've got one. We heard one earlier from Preston, and we're going to talk about the Kansas City Royals. And obviously, they're the defending world champs, and last year, Preston, going into the season after Kansas City 2 years ago went to the World Series and, then lost in a thriller of a World Series to the San Francisco Giants. A lot of people expected a drop-off last year. A lot of sharps I know were betting the Kansas City Royals under last year, and they got their head handed to them. Obviously, the team not only soared over that, they went on to win the whole thing, the World Series. But I think maybe they were a year premature. I think this is where we see the drop-off this year, and I've got a few reasons. First off, you see generally in baseball, you don't see teams repeat a lot. I mean, we saw the Giants, and the Giants are in that even-odd year deal. So if you're a Giant fan, that means good things this year for the Giants if they keep that pattern going. But for the Royals, just the fact that, you win the World Series. Now you're the target every series. Everybody's playing the defending world champ. So obviously all of your division games, all of those teams are up for you. And then, of course, you've got everybody else in the American League. But where it becomes even more, I think, is when you're the defending world champ and you're playing interleague games, you're traveling to the other cities. Teams get to see a team that they don't see that often. So, you get some nice turnouts. And the fact that it's going to be the world champs, you're going to want to go see that interleague series. I mean, back in the day, I can remember that, that wasn't a big ticket to go see the Kansas City Royals if you were a National League team. So now it is this season, and I think you'll see some, more of a packed stands for the games. So with that going, but I'm looking at the roster as well. And I know that fundamentally the roster for the position players is basically the same roster as last year. So that's not where I'm looking for the decline. I'm going to start with last year. This team always had a great bullpen. But last year they weren't as dominant, and the main reason for that was their closer, Holland, had injuries last year, and ended up at the end of the season wasn't their closer, and not even this year on the roster because they got rid of him with the injury, and they promoted Wade Davis to be the closer, who was the setup man. And they did respond last year, 19 saves in that role whenever they switched to him as the closer. But it's one thing doing it for part of the year and now being the guy the whole year. What do you think about Wade Davis?
He's not as good as Greg Holland. I mean, or at least if Greg Holland's injured now for the rest of his career, it's too bad. But I mean, old Greg Holland was definitely a better pitcher. But it ultimately just hurts their depth, though. If Wade Davis goes out, then who's the setup man or seventh inning guy that steps in for Wade Davis, and then who steps in for him? So it kind of just trickles down the bullpen. So losing depth at all in the bullpen. I think they've kind of, to be honest, the Royals have changed people's opinions about bullpens in general from these last two seasons and seen the value in having that many arms that can be lights out for 3 outs. You think it'd be, I'm a Dodgers fan, you think it would be easy, but it isn't. There's guys that just cannot figure out how to close one inning for 3 outs. The Royals have been able to do it, and it's won them a lot of games late, and losing Holland definitely is going to hurt them going forward.
Well, I know it affected how I played the Royals games last year. If I was betting against the Royals, I was making first five innings, and if I was betting with the Royals, I was taking full game. Yep. But then, as I said, there was that stretch where they were, uncharacteristically blowing some games. The bullpen was letting them down. So with that, with the question mark surrounding the bullpen, now you shift and you look at the starting pitching, and that's where my concerns are. Ventura, I love. I think this kid's got great stuff. I think he's got a great future if he stays away from injury. I like him. But after that, I've got a lot of question marks. The first one is Volquez. Here's a guy that, if you look at his career numbers, he's mediocre. He had a great year in Pittsburgh, and then he had a carryover year last year in Kansas City. I don't see him duplicating that. They picked up Chris Medlin. He's coming off Tommy John surgery, so always a question mark there. Yeah. And he's coming over from the Braves, so you're going National League to American League. Speaking of that scenario, you've got Ian Kennedy, who's an innings eater, but that's another National League pitcher going to the American League. I like it in reverse. I think guys coming from the American League to the National League much better. So with all of that said, that leaves you the other two arms, Danny Duffy, which is, he is what he is. At times very good and at times not. And then you got the ageless wonder. I mean, he looks like he's 100 years old. But Chris Young, he did a great job in the playoffs last year. But I just can't, that's not something that I want to wrap my hopes around. So I'm going under the 84.5 wins.
My quick thoughts. I know we need to wrap this video up. I think they won 94 last year off the top of my head. I know that they overperformed based on some of the expected wins metrics by about 10 or 11 games. So last year they were kind of supposed to be an 84, 85 win team. So you're right at that number. But if you expect them to drop off because of the bullpen issues or pitching, whatever it may be, one thing going back, a lot of people did bet against them last year on this under. I don't mind. Baseball's a completely unique sport, but I don't mind if you get a taste of winning it all and fall short. I usually wouldn't bet against that team next year. Baseball is a little unique because it's such a long 162-game season. But now that they have won one, you might lose some focus or a little less motivation there. So you might pick up a few wins in that regard too.
And you have, and the last thing I'll say is you've got Cleveland, Detroit, and the White Sox all with season win totals over 500. So this could be a division.
Yeah, divisions, right? All in
this could be a division where they're beating each other up. So I'm going to go ahead and take the under 84.5 on the Kansas City Royals for my season win total. We'll have more of these in the coming weeks as we go through spring training. And don't forget, spring training is in effect. And if you want to jump on board for baseball, pick your favorite capper. You can get his season package. Regular price is $10.95. Right now, we're offering our lowest price of the year. It's our early bird offer, $7.95. Get the entire baseball season, all of the plays at wagertalk.com. He's Preston, the Sports Cheetah. I'm Marco D'Angelo. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll be back with more videos here at wagertalk.com.